Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am the Viking Gamer, and today I'm going to start a new series where I go over some of the D&D adventures that I have custom made for my adventuring parties. Today we're going to start with the adventure that I call the Ruined Keep. In this adventure, the players are joining the Adventurers Guild of the City of Pontel. And what I'm going to do in this is kind of show you the map and give you the basics of the adventure. And then I'll do a little narrative kind of walkthrough of each of the areas, and as I'm doing that, we'll also discuss the various things that will happen in those areas. You know, what enemies will be encountered and what kind of things players can expect or potentially do in these areas. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So just a quick overview, I designed this adventure to follow kind of a 5-act structure, starting with the setup, which is where you accept the quest and get some basic information leading on to the next step, then the next, progressing through the adventure before ultimately getting your quest rewards. Now, each of these sections is going to have some basic information, the narrative lead up to the scene that is going on, a description of it, and then there will also be sections that are labeled for the DM to just kind of give notes on what could be happening or things that the DM is going to need to know for that particular scene. Just south of the merchant quarter of the city lies the Great Hall of the Adventurers Guild. Its stone walls bear the mark of many decades of use and have been well maintained over the years. The path leading to the entrance has been worn by the steps of many thousands of adventurers and seems to welcome you as you approach. The courtyard is framed by the wings of the guild hall and lined with neatly trimmed hedges. A few small merchant stands can be seen in the corners, their patrons taking the opportunity to purchase last-minute supplies before heading off on their assignments. A pair of sturdy oak doors stand as the building's main entrance, emblazoned with the guild's emblem, a crossed sword and staff behind a flying Pegasus, beckoning all who seek adventure to enter. Stepping inside, you find yourself in a grand hall, the cavernous space filled with the sounds of conversation and laughter. Its high vaulted ceilings, supported by heavy wooden beams, make a simple perch for numerous birds and flying creatures. Sunlight streams through the hall's many windows, casting beams of light across the polished stone floors. Long wooden tables stretch out from the walls, each surrounded by chairs and benches, filled with guild members sharing tales and planning expeditions. As your group enters, you are directed to a large desk before a grand bookshelf. To its right sits a massive hearth, its crackling fire offering warmth to the grand space of the room. To the left upon the wall rests a large notice board, filled with many posters, each one detailing assignments or requests for assistance. Behind the desk sits a well-dressed half-elven woman, Elysia Silverwood. She greets you all and welcomes you to the guild. Alright, so this is the general introduction for the Adventurers Guild of the City of Pontel. Here the adventurers can kind of interact with a few NPCs and gain a little bit of information here or there about the quest that they're going to be on. The quest being given today is that there's several keeps and towers that are used for city defense surrounding the city. Some of them have gone silent in the recent days, and the Adventurers Guild has been asked to send some scouting parties to reconnect with the outposts and see what's been going on. There's been an increase in orc and goblin raiding parties in the local area, and the worst is feared that the local garrisons of soldiers have kind of fallen to these attacks. And at this point, the players accept the quest and begin setting out. They will have the opportunity to interact with a couple of other adventurers in the guild, and using some perception checks and persuasion checks, potentially gain some information and insight about the area that they're going to be walking into. The keep stands atop a small rocky hill. Its stone walls bear the marks of many battles along its long years of service. A narrow path winds along the jagged rock face leading to the courtyard gate. Vines and moss cling to the weathered stones of the curtain walls, and several sections appear to have been damaged recently. Approaching the gate, your party finds the heavy wooden doors smashed inward. Shattered pieces of their iron-reinforced form lay scattered across the cobblestone road. Makeshift wooden barricades block some of the road, their framework obscuring the vision into the courtyard. What remains of the doors hang heavy on their damaged hinges, creaking ominously in the breeze. So, after the introduction to the area and the players arrive at the keep and approach the gate, they have the opportunity to make some skill checks to kind of scout the area and gain some more information. Athletics checks or acrobatics checks can be used to try and scale the walls and get a view of the courtyard before passing through the gate. And perception checks can be used to eavesdrop in on any conversations or just kind of get a perception of what might be going on inside the courtyard before entering. Once the party has exhausted their various attempts or finished scouting the area, they can then enter the courtyard itself. Entering into the courtyard, the party will find 10 goblins and 1 goblin mini-boss ready to fight them. The party will then have to either fight their way past them, convince them to leave, or find a way around them without them noticing in order to progress further in the quest. The great hall is dimly lit. Light from the fireplace and few scattered torches cast long shadows across the rubble-strewn interior. A high ceiling supports the second floor, but several support beams lay broken across the ground. The air is thick with dust, and the scent of burnt flesh permeates the room. 3 long tables take up the center of the hall, their partially damaged forms cluttered with broken plates and glasses. Among the clutter rests the half-eaten remains of charred meat. A small pile of discarded armor and weapons fills the space next to the fireplace, a trail of dried blood leading to the nearby kitchen. As you enter the keep, you see several goblin heads peeking out from their hiding places. With a loud shout and war cry, they leap into view, with weapons drawn, ready to fight. There's a couple of ways to approach this scene in particular. There is, of course, entering through the main entrance of the keep's front door. With appropriate skill checks and knowledge checks, the party might be able to scale some of the walls and find their way coming in from one of the balconies through either the storeroom door towards the far back of the keep or through the balcony door leading off the main hall itself. Either way, the result is mostly the same. They need to wage battle against the goblins that take hiding places in various locations throughout the main hall itself. Now, once the battle is finished, the players have the opportunity to start scouting through the rooms. They can search through the kitchen or the library. There are a couple of storerooms that can be searched through for various supplies and materials. And the terrain itself can be used during the battle. The ceiling in the main hall can be targeted for attacks, causing the sections of the ceiling and the support beams to fall down on the unsuspecting goblins. There are torches and a few oil lamps scattered around the walls of the room. They can also be targeted to kind of cause fire to rain down on the goblins and potentially deal with some would-be attackers in that fashion. The adventure also has different ways for a DM to make the encounters more difficult or easier depending on the situation. If the party's having a particularly difficult time, then the DM can kind of make things easier by using the easier difficulty settings, or if the adventurers are kind of breezing through everything, they can choose to make it a little bit more challenging and choose the harder option, as different cases may be. The sound of a war horn echoes up from the path around the keep, and the sound of voices can be heard whispering along the air. Your party holds still as the sound grows louder. The dull thud of marching feet reaches your ears. Looking out from the keep, you see a goblin warband returning from a raid. A dozen goblins move throughout the courtyard, their small forms weighed down with the many bags of ill-gotten plunder. Standing among them is a hobgoblin. His form is taller than the goblins. Disciplined and angry eyes glare out from beneath an iron helm, and his voice barks out, quick and violent. Not more than 5 feet from him stands a hunched and robed goblin, her face hidden behind a low-hanging hood. An air of foul magic seems to flow from her, and the other goblins seem to shy away as she shuffles along. And this is where the final battle and boss fight for the adventure comes in. Now, there's a couple things to note here. If the party did fight the goblins that were originally in the courtyard, the arriving warband will be mostly taking their time to investigate the bodies and try and figure out what happened. If they were able to move around or bypass the initial group of goblins, then the war party will be none the wiser. If the first group of goblins was persuaded to leave or otherwise ran away, then there won't be any bodies for the war party to examine. So, just a couple things to kind of keep in mind as that unfolds. There are a few kind of environmental things that can be taken advantage of. The keep itself does have windows in a couple of places. The second floor is inaccessible as rubble has blocked the stairway and the roof for the second floor has collapsed in on itself. But adventurers can stand behind the windows on top of some of the rubble and shoot down into the courtyard, taking advantage of some pretty good cover. Now, other than that, the Goblin Warband will be pretty heavily injured. They're not going to put up that much of a fight. Any of the smaller goblins that are injured will try and move in and attack the party from wherever they happen to be. Most of the group is archers, so they would rush from where they are to various bits of cover to try and stay out of direct line of sight. But the melee goblins will charge in at the party, whether they're inside the keep or at the gate. Doesn't particularly matter. But any goblins that are injured have a chance of running away. The way I do it is I roll a 6-sided die. On a 1 through 4. The goblin is too afraid to continue fighting. They drop their weapons and then run away. On a 5 or 6, they continue fighting and charge back in. Now, one of the ways to make the fight easier is the hobgoblin is kind of the war boss for the goblins. Now, since he is the war boss, if he is killed, it could be easily done that he's fallen, the rest of the goblins then try and run away, leaving only the spellcaster, who is a goblin shaman. She will, on her action, move to cover wherever that happens to be closest to her, and spend most of her actions trying to heal the hobgoblin as long as he's on the field. If he's not on the field, she is going to spend all of her actions trying to cast spells at the party until she dies or potentially runs away. And that is going to be that. So once the last of the goblins are dealt with, the party can then loot the bodies and go through all the plunder that they've brought in, collect their findings, and make their way back to the Adventurers Guild. Once they arrive at the guild master will reward them by letting them keep any of the plunder that they find, and they will also be given custodianship of the keep that they just cleared out, which would be off this direction from the main city. The guildmaster would explain that the City Watch has signed over the keep to the Adventurers Guild, requesting that they maintain a presence there to keep watch on the roads. And the guildmaster is asking the adventuring party that cleared it to take custodianship of the keep. And that is the ultimate final reward for this first adventure of what is going to be a campaign that is going to end up being discussed here on the channel. Alright, and that is it. Thank you all so much for watching this homemade adventure walkthrough, The Ruined Keep. This adventure was designed for low-level starting characters. I like to start my campaigns at level 2 as a way for players to really get to know the world and get to know their characters. This was the first adventure in a campaign that I've been working on called The Hidden Cult of Pontel. I will be showing more of these adventures as I get them written and play-tested, so hopefully by then my voice will be back to normal. Be sure and check out my Patreon page, where you can pick up a downloadable version of this adventure, complete with a battle map of the Ruined Keep. It should be live on Patreon no later than Monday morning, so be sure and check it out. Thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for future content, and comment down in the comments section, and I will see everyone next episode.